Hello and welcome to the Inbetween
Hello.
Podcast. We know I have technical issues, so I never click the wrong button and then don't realise I'm muted. Hello. I'm the user
At
host.
least you
Justin.
realised.
Yeah, imagine if I was just muted the entire time.
Yeah, that could have been awful.
How are you, Tony?
I'm doing well. Yeah, it's getting cold. Battery's still holding up. Just let everyone should know.
The battery?
Battery update.
What's the battery update?
The house battery.
The
It's still
house
surviving.
Oh,
It's getting harder.
you got a Tesla Powerwall, did you?
No, different
Okay.
company. Actually, I will speak about this actually. Because it's
Speak up.
tangerine from a tangerine. Cause I was like, eventually I'm gonna want to have. If I ever get a house, right? Market's not great right now. I don't have much money, but
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I would like have like a battery system, but there's like one massive issue with like the system that's like currently at my parents' house, and it's like if you wanted to charge, like like the wholesale price of electricity like changes throughout the day, like renewables kind of like goes up and down. Because we're with Octopus, it's like you can with certain cars you can like make it so like it can like charge on their schedules. It's like at a cheap rate. But when you charge, it takes it from the battery. So I was searching around, going like, oh, is there a charge system where like you can like bypass the battery so it doesn't drain your battery when you do this? And it's like, yeah, the Tesla wall can do this, and so can another company called like My Energy with an I at the end instead of a Y.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, this My Energy stuff that's really cool actually. So My Energy, shout out to My Energy. Would recommend looking into it. It's not out yet, like that's the full system, but they have an electric car charger which people really like. So I'm now My Energy spokesman unofficially. So that's what I'm trying
Unofficially.
to say. Yeah. I don't think I've done anything
I'm just
too
doing
important.
live things I'm remembering I wanted to add. Okay.
Oh, you're adding to the okay, right?
You remember last week, like 2 weeks ago, I was like, "Hey, I got a bunch of new parts. I'm waiting for my RAM, so I
Yeah,
can
I remember
upgrade my
that.
PC."
Yeah, I
I
remember.
still got one. Yeah, still waiting for my RAM to come. Oh my god, it's been like 3 weeks since I ordered it. Because I ordered it all on Amazon, right? And I'm just like, yeah, it's Amazon. I'll order it. And
It'd be
then
fine.
then the RAM was like, oh shit, this is Amazon Marketplace. And if you don't know, if it's not dispatched by Amazon, then you're just in no man's land when it comes to whether it's gonna
Yeah,
end up
this
coming.
is the storefront.
But they messaged me saying it was going to be delayed until this week. I was like, okay. Man, I've dropped a lot of frames actually. I just realised that I don't know if my upload will be. I just realised my dad's watching football in 4K downstairs. I don't know if the
Oh
internet's going to be
no.
able to keep up with this,
Who's
but we'll
on?
try it.
Uh,
I don't know actually,
not American football, is it?
but
Real
I'm
football.
dropping a lot of frames, so hopefully it's not too bad. I'll have a local copy anyway, so I can just upload the
Yeah.
local video file if it's too bad for the stream. Anyway, what was I saying? I ordered it. Didn't come. It's coming from Italy, which I was like, okay, that's not too far away.
It's not that far away, no.
But
It's like a
apparently
2-hour flight.
they go through DHL, and apparently DHL is really slow to get things from Italy to the UK, according to some of the reviews I was reading.
Which I don't understand, but yeah.
Then they said it was coming this week. I was like, fine, it comes this week. I've been waiting like 3 weeks. Then they sent me another message. Right? Yes, they said like the 18th or the 25th, so the 25th is the end of this week. Yeah. So I was like, okay, fine. Like my computer's dying, but I'm getting this cool DDR5 RAM that I wanted with low CL latency, right? That I couldn't find anywhere else.
Fast rate, low latency sounds great.
For my Ryzen processor, because the Infinity Cache scales really well with low latency CL on the RAM modules. It's around 6,000 megahertz is the like sweet spot for power, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, they come back to me this week and they're just like, yeah, it's probably we'll give you an international tracking number at the end of this week, the start of next week. It should be coming around the middle of next week, and I'm like, Jesus fucking, because at that point it'll be a month since I ordered it. So I just said to them, look, if this fucking RAM doesn't come next week, I'm just gonna cancel the fucking order, dude, because this is getting fucking ridiculous. Guys, if you're ordering shit off Amazon, make sure it's not Amazon Marketplace, because this shit can get really fucking slow with deliveries. And I'm like, it's getting to the point where it's going to get close to Christmas, and Christmas is just going to completely fuck up deliveries.
If it's, I'll say that I wouldn't completely like not look like order from like a marketplace stuff, but I'd say like don't. It's not from Amazon, so like you have to like look at their history of like you can look at like how good that like shop is.
But if you don't know,
that is very important.
I've had a fucking Ryzen 7700X, a X670 motherboard, and an NHD 15 cooler sat in my room for 3 weeks. Because I can't do anything with them because I don't have RAM. So there's an update for me. Which sucks. So if my PC crashes, then you know what happened. Either the football took it out, or it was
yeah. You know, like if you say like you order a graphics card and it doesn't come, like at least you have like, oh, at least I got my iGPU to at least like look at stuff on the internet, right? It's a shame that there isn't like integrated RAM, just so you can get something.
RAM.
Like I don't know, a gigabyte of RAM.
I've heard of like you ever heard of like you can turn RAM into physical memory, and you can install Crysis. Didn't someone install Crysis onto the RAM of a PC and run it off the RAM? I think it was.
Yeah, there's people done that on like on DDR6 stuff on like 2090s or like Titan stuff, right, as well, right? So they have like huge.
Like people have like installed and run it just on the VRAM of a card, like a graphics card. Which I'm like, that's kind of crazy.
Is though, like stuff like the Apple stuff, like the RAM modules are like soldered onto the board. So maybe just like maybe I'm asking like maybe the motherboard should have just like integrated RAM as a feature.
Anyway, that's my run over. Let's go into trailers, and we'll talk about what's been cut. There's been a lot of game releases in the past 2 weeks, so a lot to talk about. So first up for trailers, we have Pepper Grinder reveal trailers. It's a Devolver Digital game, and it's like Devolver published a game that took that mechanic from Ori and the Will of the Wisps, where you like burrow into the ground and turn it into a whole game. I think this actually looks really fun.
Yeah,
I know like a lot of people didn't like the like sand digging, tunneling stuff in Ori. I quite liked it. I played Ori and the Will of the Wisps this year, and I fucking loved it. So shout out to that game because it's amazing.
This was really cool though as well.
Depending on how well this game like controls, I think this could be really, really fun. So definitely excited to check it out. And as always, I'm always interested to see the next game from Devolver and what they're publishing next. They always publish weird, interesting shit. That's pretty cool. And then, speaking of Devolver, our next one up is Broforce Forever. One of my favorite Devolver developers, Free Lives, the creators of Genital Jousting, Broforce, Angerfoot. They just what's that? Gorn. They just make the weirdest fucking games, and I love it. But this is going to be a free update for Broforce, which I've also played this year for the first time. And it's basically going to add new bros and new missions. And it's coming out early next year, 2023. Okay. So one of my big things I hope that they'll change, I don't think they've announced this at all, but one of the things that I wish was available is the ability to play workshop maps multiplayer, like across the internet.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Because that's not possible on Broforce right now. I think it's possible on Door Kicker's Action Squad, which is another Broforce-like game that's really fun. So yeah, that would be really, really cool to see if they included that. If they don't, then I'll be interested to see who the new bros are. It's always great when they introduce a new bro to Broforce. He's like, Broforce. What is the one like Braid, like the Blade bro version?
Yeah. You want to know what the naming scheme is to avoid copyright.
We got a Sea of Thieves content update. I think it just came out. Or I downloaded a 3 gigabyte update for nothing. This is basically a massively PvP focused content update.
Okay, not one for me then.
I don't know if you potentially could help alleviate some of the PvE players being griefed, but we'll have to wait and see how this turns out. So,
Oh, you think like because they got
Tony,
this, they will not
isn't this
attack
one of the
PvE?
coolest loading screen mechanics you've ever heard of? So when you're queuing, so I'll explain how it works. So there's two PvP factions: Athena, which is like the pirate legend faction, and the Reaper of Souls, which is like the PvP faction. Essentially, you queue up your ship to go against somebody else who's also flagged themselves for PvP. What happens is your ship goes underwater while you're queuing, so you're like flying your ship underwater while you're waiting to get into a lobby. Your ship emerges out of the water as like a seamless loading screen, and when your ship emerges, you're in another player's lobby who's flagged themselves for PvP fighting against them, which I think is like really,
you
really
can't
cool.
do PvE and you're waiting to do PvP. Yeah, that's a really cool. That's a really cool system.
And also there's an hourglass in your ship as well, which lets you choose which side you're fighting for. And I think they implemented this hourglass as well because of the testing they did in, if you don't know, Microsoft's beta tester called Flights. So when they had a flight of this, they found a lot of people were like, "Oh, I'm losing the fight," and they just ran away. So what the hourglass now does is if an enemy ship gets too far from you, or it will start to crack, and if it breaks, they will forfeit the fight and their ship will be destroyed.
Oh, right.
So that's pretty interesting.
It's amazing what like forced aggression or like actually forced them to like compete.
Yeah. So this is like the first fully PvP focused update they did since the removal of Arena. I think it was last year they removed Arena. I'm not 100% sure. But Arena was basically heavily structured matchmaking PvP. It was like a separate game mode. You went up and you queued and you had heavily structured PvP sessions, and nobody played them.
Really? Okay.
That's why they removed them, because
it wasn't connected to the progression.
The PvP players just wanted to be in the open world, PvPing other players, right?
Yeah.
They wanted like these random interactions. They wanted to be doing like PvE content and then go into a PvP battle, which you can do in this. So one of the things you can do is, as you destroy more ships and you get more loot, your rank goes up, which means you get more gold at the end, but you also become like a bigger target for people to attack.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like a risk-reward system. I think one of the follies they made with when they initially introduced the Reapers, the Reaper faction emissary to the game was it was just by far the best emissary in the game. Like, it wasn't close compared to like the Merchants Alliance or the Gold Hoarders or the Order of Souls. For them, you could only do their missions, so you would have to go around killing captains for skulls, for Order of Souls. Gold Hoarders, you would have to do treasure, and then merchants, you would find sunken ships, and then you get bonus for handing into that faction, but anytime you handed in like a gem or a skull as the merchant emissary, you wouldn't get anything else from it. But the thing with Reapers is the Reaper's hideout, you can hand in any type of loot, and you get a bonus because you're in the Reaper's faction. So what ended up happening was people would sign up for the PvP faction, and they would run around doing PvE, trying to avoid PvP as much as possible, because it was the most profitable PvE faction, which just led to these really awkward interactions where people would sign up as Reapers. People would go, "Oh, these people are flagged for PvP." They would go attack them. Then they go, "Why are you attacking me? I'm just playing this faction for PvE because it's the best PvE faction." And it'd be like, "Oh, for fuck's sake!" Like, it's like not being used for its intended purpose, which is why like the arena was removed, because nobody was using it. But I think this leads to a lot more organic fights, and I think the fact that you're being put into a structured PvP fight inside a world with other players who are already playing is going to be a lot better. And I just really hope this actually attracts PvP players to use it and will help alleviate some of the more... Because I play Sea of Thieves with a lot of people who do not play Sea of Thieves a lot of people who don't play games a lot at all. And I go into Sea of Thieves, and the problem is I go in, and it's just Reaper ship attacks us, we die. We try and do a mission, Reaper ship attacks us, we die. Like, and I'm playing with people who barely play games, and I'm like, this game can be really fun, but we're just getting like absolutely grief by these high-level PvP players who honestly I think didn't play something like Arena because it meant they would have to actually match up with people who were around their skill level, and they couldn't just stomp on noobs. Which is
so
why
you think they're griefing?
Well, they literally just want to attack people who don't want to engage with them. Because it's a lot easier. But I've had several play sessions where I log in, I get loot, get attacked by a Kraken, get attacked by a Reaper, get attacked by a Megalodon, die, and then it's just like, well, there goes my entire 2-hour play session. I've got absolutely nothing to show for it because I've just got griefed by players and now I can't do anything. Because Sea of Thieves has that big risk-reward system where you can honestly go into the game and through kind of no fault of your own, just make 0 progress in a day, which just feels awful. And people have been calling for people have been calling for stuff like PvE servers, but I don't think that's the way to go. I hope this is more the right direction. Is to have like this more structured PvP stuff to kind of push players towards that and give them good rewards for that PvP stuff. Because like the 2 new level 100 faction rewards are really cool. Like the Athena, once you fully max that out by doing this stuff, you get to become like a pirate legend ghost curse on you. Then for the Reapers, you get to become a skeleton as well.
Yeah, I saw this is really cool.
Yeah, so you get access to these pirate legend hideouts for your faction. And previously, the only way to become a skeleton in Sea of Thieves, it was actually like a bug. I mean, when players disconnected, they would become skeletons sometimes.
Really?
But this is like an official way now. But hopefully this is something that PvP players want, and hopefully it's something that will help alleviate pressure off PvE players. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. It may just become, this is the best way to make gold. I'm just going to sign up to this as a PvE player and then go around, doing PvE quests, or people just won't sign up to it and they'll just go around griefing new players, sort of thing. So we'll have to wait and see.
I've feeling that more systems are going to be needed to at least give you progress even if you fail, like in PvP.
Somebody commented the fact the Reapers were shown doing PvE stuff while the Athena emissaries were looking for fights is the most accurate thing ever. If you don't understand, the Athena faction is historically the PvE faction and the Reaper is the PvP faction, but what happens is people go into the Athena faction and do PvP, and then people go to the Reaper stuff and do PvE, which is like the complete opposite of what they're supposed to be.
Right.
Because of the way the loot system works out, which is kind of crazy. We'll have to see. And then we have one final trailer to tell you. And when I saw this trailer, I thought it was like a joke trailer, but I watched it like fully, and I think this is a real trailer. This is called I Am Jesus Christ Prologue, official trailer.
Okay.
I just couldn't believe this game was... Are you watching this?
Yeah.
It seems like some sort of Unreal Engine, almost like asset flip, where you're using your powers to build bridge. I think at one point you go to a party and turn water into wine and stuff like that. And I'm just like... What the fuck?
Is this historically accurate, is it?
I think it's based on the books.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to leave it from the book, or deviate from the book, sorry. I feel like they should keep
Mission
the
to turn
lore.
water into wine, here it is. Like, what the fuck is happening here? You are out of Holy Spirit. Press the R key to reload. I'm just like, what the fuck?
There's a whole mechanic for regetting spirit.
Yeah. But then he like goes into a child's body and he's fighting like blood cells. Healing of the royal official son. It almost looks like a fucking FPS game, and I'm just like, what the fuck is this game about? What the fuck do you do with it? This feels like
I'm kind of in. I find this quite interesting. I might genuinely look into this when it comes. Why does it come out pretty soon, right? Okay.
Well, it says available on Steam. Let me look up on Steam.
It says here on the 1st of December. I don't know.
It just says quarter 2023 on the Steam page. Should I request access to the I Am Jesus Christ playtest? I've requested. I've requested access. Guys, I'll let you know on the update if I get into the I Am Jesus Christ
I do.
beta.
I'm not religious or anything, but I
Yeah.
do find the stuff in the Bible like interesting, but like as if like I treating it as almost like its own like law separate from reality sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like I get people don't like people see it as the truth and stuff, but not for me. But I do find it interesting. So I
Somebody
am
says,
curious about
hopefully
this.
no one spoils the ending. I'm just reading the YouTube comments. Finally, a game where rising from the dead over and over again makes sense.
Well, only once.
It makes you feel like Jesus. 7 out of 10 IGN.
Well, I'm going to disagree with the guy who said over and over again. Jesus only died once and he got his second body. People only have two bodies. Like, come on, guys.
Somebody
You need to read the Bible again.
They really nailed the T-poses. 8 out of 10. There we go. I got Joe's weird VR game of the week, and it's just another one of those kind of like wave-based shoot ones, because I couldn't find any other VR game that was coming out that hasn't already come out. So I was like, oh, it looks kind of okay. But I was walking it in, Tony. You know what? It's a bullet hell VR game.
Well, maybe have you ever considered it's okay to not find a VR game? This?
No, because I like the idea that I always find some weird VR game. Actually, I gotta turn this off.
Okay. But you know everyone's holding out until December to release their VR games.
No, they were holding out to November. Because, well, Tony, so I'm going to go through games that came out in the past 2 weeks. So it started November 8th. Sonic Frontiers came out, and I got to say, this one was probably the biggest surprise to me at how positive this has been reviewed. From people on Steam, from game reviewers, just from general people like Digital Foundry and stuff like that, saying they genuinely really enjoyed this game.
Well, can I sort of agree with them from what I've seen.
Yeah.
But I want to explain that I feel like exactly what I said from the trailer was correct.
I think I said this game is either going to be absolutely awful or really, really good.
Yeah, I think you said that. But no, I was gonna say that what people seem to like is like they acknowledge like the open world stuff is shit. Like the terrain spawning in is really bad, and it's like not much to do in that regard. But you do have like good momentum. It's like I was like looking at the prototype they showed, the momentum looked really good. And I thought the boss they showed in the trailer looked interesting as well. But I didn't realize, because it wasn't advertised at all, that there were worlds just like other 3D worlds. Like that are really good.
They were saying there's different worlds, so it's more like Super Mario 3D World or like Super Mario Odyssey, where you go between different open worlds. And also there's these things called cyber levels, which are more like classic Sonic games.
Which they should just make the whole game cyber levels. It looks great. Oh my god!
I don't know. It looks really, really cool. I mean, from like a technical point, it's running pretty well on like PC and consoles. I think almost all the consoles have a 60 FPS mode going. Apart from
I think you have to at the
Xbox.
Sonic was going.
I think apart from the Xbox Series S, which runs at 30. Which is not great because, it's a movement game. You really want to hit that 60 FPS there. I think the only big issue that is present in every single version of the game is the egregious pop-in this game is absolutely awful, where entire platforms just load in as you're about to hit them sort of thing.
Isn't that only a problem in the open world? I thought in the cyber worlds that wasn't a problem anymore.
No, well, that's all pre-rendered stuff. That's not like a big open world sort of thing.
I'm just saying, like,
most of the game is open
ruins
world.
The game.
Okay, but from what I've seen, like, I actually think this looks like a genuinely interesting Sonic game, and it's interesting to see like the direction they're going with Sonic games. Actually, seems quite positive. Yeah,
but I still think the open world should be removed. They should just have a string of levels. Like, that's the good stuff.
Because there was that big campaign.
I want to play it now.
There was that big campaign, like, you need to completely delay this game. It looks awful. I don't know what the hell's going on. Even I said, what the fuck is a Sonic? I had no idea what's going on in this game. I would have still liked it if they delayed it and fixed the, like, egregious pop-in issues.
Pop-in is still egregious, and it should be delayed for that.
Set the Series S version to 1080p and get that running at 60 FPS. But apart from that, this looks pretty interesting. So, Sonic Frontiers actually looks
But
pretty interesting.
I just want to be making it clear, it's not an open world game. If you treat it like an open world game, I think you're going to be disappointed. If you treat it like a 3D Sonic game, I think you're going to love it.
Then obviously November 8th was the biggest game of the year, and then November 9th was the second biggest game of the year. God of War Ragnarok came out. So we're going off Steam this time. It came out on PS5. And it seems like from reviews it is very well regarded. It seems like if you like God of War 2018, you will like God of War Ragnarok. It seems like kind of more of the same. I mean, the only complaints I saw about this were there were big complaints about the support characters basically shouting the solutions to puzzles at you before you even got a chance to solve them yourself, which I thought was kind of annoying that there wasn't even an option to turn it off. But when you go into the statistics of how many people buy games and how many people finish them, it's insane how little people actually finish games that buy them. And they want to make sure as many people finish it as possible. And obviously, when they went into these puzzles, they had a bunch of QA testing, and they said lots of players were getting stuck here. Let's put in dialogue to help people get through them. But again,
it would be
really nice to have an option to turn it off, because I would like a chance to try and solve them.
I'm okay with these sort of things on by default, especially considering I think a lot of people probably don't care about puzzles in a God of War game, but there should still be a way to turn it off even if the default is on. I don't know why. Because
I'm a big God of War fan. I've played all of the PlayStation God of War games that were on the PS3. So I played the PS2 versions remastered on the PS3. I played the PSP versions remastered on the PS3, and I played the third one as well. But I haven't played God of War 1 yet. So I was waiting for it to come to PC when I saw the announcement. I've got it, but I haven't played it yet because I've been doing my wheel. So I currently don't have control of what games I play, but I would really like to play the 2018 God of War. I have the PC version now, so
it sounds like you're letting gambling dictate your life.
And there you have it. Right. Next up, we have. Oh, I just wanted to say, I played Cuphead, The Delicious Last Course, which came out this year recently. I fucking love Cuphead, by the way. It's amazing. Yeah. And I was saying to you, this is the time of the statistics. Only 15% of people on Steam, according to the statistics, have actually beat the game. And then if you look at the DLC, it's even smaller. It's 5% of people who have the DLC have actually completed the game. Which I'm just those numbers are crazy.
But how many people who got it had a lot of fun? I feel like you don't need to complete a game to say. I don't know. As someone who doesn't complete games, I don't feel the need to. So I'm so happy with what I buy.
All right, next up we have... Okay, sorry, I should have said God of War Ragnarok, the third biggest release of the year. Garfield Lasagna Party came out November 10th.
Why is this one here?
Because we talked about this, I was there's a Mario Party Garfield knockoff. Sorry?
You nominating this game in the Steam Awards? What's going on?
I think you have to play... Oh yeah, the Steam Awards are out now, and I've got my nominations in.
I haven't, so we're not talking about it yet.
Guys, look out for my games of the year: Garfield Lasagna Party, Sonic Frontiers. The next game as well is going to be a nomination from me. It's interesting to see. Speaking of the Game Awards, Steam Awards, quickly, there's a category now solely for games on the go. They're pushing a Steam Deck sort of category now.
Okay, I can't. You know what? I keep I don't know what it is. I keep seeing stuff on the Steam Deck, someone's done another content piece on the Steam Deck. I'm always excited for it, so you know what? I'm happy.
Yeah, we'll go more into that when we talk about the Steam Awards, but it seems pretty positive. Lead review based on the 24 people who've played this game.
What are they saying?
Said Garfield is bigger than Jesus, and Garfield somebody said Garfield solved my marriage. This guy said one of the best party games ever to come to Steam. He has 172 hours in it. This guy's AFKing like a motherfucker. There's no way. He's AFK in the menu, brother.
You think he's doing that just so he can troll people on the reviews?
So somebody said, so this is a big thing to point out. there's no online co-op. This is a huge mark against this for me. It is only couch co-op for this game, which I think is in 2022 releasing a game without online co-op is like a big red flag about the saleability of a game. So that's a real shame to see. But we'll move on. Tony, are you feeling kind of sussy, like a sussy barker?
I feel pretty sus. Yeah, what makes you
Among
say
Us
that?
VR came
Oh
out
my
November
god.
10th, and I can finally talk about this. So, I signed an NDA, and I was in the Among Us VR beta test, and I played loads of it. I played 3 hours, and it was really fun. And I can finally talk about it because I wasn't allowed to show any gameplay or talk about my experiences. But now that the game's out, I'm allowed to talk about the game. This game is really fucking fun. I had so much fun playing it. I've got the game now. It looks like my beta progress carried over because I've got 3.2 hours in the game despite not launching it since it launched, and I've got the achievements I unlocked when I was playing the beta test. But it seemed like the game was in like its finished state like a month ago when I beta tested it, so I think it's fair to talk about it. I don't know. I'm assuming because I saw like big content creators were playing it when it came out, like all the offline TV people at Disguised Toast. It's weird. It's weird when like my friends are like, "Oh, I'm watching Among Us videos from this guy Disguised Toast," and I'm like, "You mean the Hearthstone guy who wears the toast mask?" I just remember him as the Hearthstone guy, but yeah, he got so
It
huge.
is interesting, isn't it?
The Sus guy played this game. I don't know if so. There's a streamer called Germa, and he's become a meme with Among Us as the Sus guy. If I show
Okay.
you an image of his face, you'll be like, ah, yes, that's the Sus guy. But there's so many people who've seen this image and they don't know who the hell Germa is, but they know him from Among Us. Do you want to hear an interesting fact about the streamer Germa? He's never
Oh, go
played
on.
Among Us.
Wait, why did people learn the sus guy then?
I don't know. People love to just take image of his face and upload them to Reddit and go, "This is what an AI thought a serial killer would look like" and stuff like that.
He
Um,
is the real life Joker with that face, but
but anyway, he was like, "For one day only, I'm going to be." He changed all of his emotes to Among Us emotes, and he was like, "For one day only, I'm going to play Among Us VR as my only time ever playing Among Us, and then I'm never going to play it again." I was like, I can't believe the sus guy is playing Among Us. Um,
it's
yeah.
wild.
But if you don't know about this game, um, it's Among Us in VR. Among Us is a social deduction game where you go around a spaceship fixing tasks, and you're trying to fix them before you are killed by an imposter who is
Oh, I saw
one
that
other
Fortnite game mode.
person. Yeah, it's like that. Trying to think of another game that's stolen this idea. It's like Unfortunate Spacemen, guys, which I think came out
Right.
before Among Us. But we'll have to see the timing there. Um, it's made by Shell Games, and I got to say, Shell Games knocked it out of the park again. I Expect You to Die is one of my favorite VR games of all time. Absolutely fantastic, and they've made another solid VR game. And I'm not joking when I say this. I think it is the best VR game that's come out this year that I have played.
Okay.
So,
Well, how many VR games
spoiler.
come out this year?
I've also played Tentacular this year, which I
Okay.
think is if you ask me when I played it as like a short 20-minute session, I would have said, "Oh, it's pretty good." I went back and replayed it recently, and the game gets a lot more frustrating as it goes along. It's a lot more like precision based with these giant tentacles, and I'm like, "Oh, this is like really starting to piss me off." Um, but yeah. Next up, we
Okay.
have Pentiment came out. So this is Josh Sawyer, Obsidian worked on this one because I think Josh Sawyer, the one of the leads on Fallout New Vegas, he didn't actually work on the Outer Worlds, I don't believe, but this was like his like passion product. Like I think when this came out, because it's such a hard to market game. Like it's not like a Call of
Yeah.
Duty. It is a time. It's like set over the course of 100 years in like Bavarian Alps, like medieval, like fucking Europe, and it's like It's a dialogue-based like
yeah
detective game, which is something that's really, really like risky to take. But essentially, he said like because Obsidian's been bought up by Xbox like years ago. He said because Games Pass exists, it's given me the freedom to make this game, which is like a passion project for me, sort of thing. And it seems like for the people who like these sort of games, they really like this one. I know.
Oh, yeah, there's more reviews than I thought there'd be already. Actually, okay.
I know personally, like I saw this at the PC Gaming E3 thing, and I was like,
yeah,
it's not really a game for me personally.
I really like look at this. Like, it is steeped in like medieval like artwork and like writing and like like the aesthetic is like really, really
like
good.
I'm not.
It looks like it's in a book of medieval.
This is a game for like huge history buffs. I'm not really a huge history buff. Like I don't know. It doesn't look. It doesn't appeal to me, but I could see from the people who it does appeal to, it seems like they really like this game. So that's cool to see. But not
there
something.
Are dozens of us.
Yeah, not something I'm personally.
No, I'm glad it's I'm glad it's been successful. Like I'm glad it's already got like 600 reviews. That's pretty impressive.
Somerville also came on November 15th. So if you don't remember, this was also shown at E3. It is from the ex-Playdead co-founder who founded Limbo and Inside, and it seems like he made a different game in like a sci-fi setting that's similar to that theme of like Inside or Limbo. This one looks pretty interesting, but based on the reviews, it seems like there is some technical issues with this one so far. So there's a VSync frame cap issue, and people are saying it's a lot harder to play without a controller. And we've also, from reading the reviews, it seems like it's quite short as well. Because I was a big fan of Inside. I think Inside is like one of the best like games I've played that are similar to this. I really, really enjoyed that game. Whereas with this, it seems like people are saying it's quite short, technical issues, you know. So it's got mixed reviews on Steam right now. But the company Jumpship Games actually was just acquired by Thunderful Games. And they are working with Jumpship to develop more story games, which is pretty cool to see. So I think Thunderful does the like wholesome direct. Like Thunderful's very like an indie publisher. They do like a lot of wholesome like indie games. So it seems like a good fit for this indie company. That's interesting to see what more comes from that. Another big one, Tony. Warzone has officially released on Steam. So Call of Duty's come to Steam, and Warzone, which is like the big Call of Duty Battle Royale game, which was previously only playable on Battle.net, is now come to Steam, and it has got horrible reviews. It came out November 16th, but I think the horrible reviews are not because the core gameplay's bad. I think there's a lot of problems with like the UI and linking like Activision accounts and stuff like that.
Oh, I see. It's not accepting like Steam usernames because they're inappropriate and stuff. Okay.
So people are saying like they're having issues with the servers, they're having issues with like the UI and the pop-ups, but it seems like from what I played at Warzone like years ago, Warzone's a pretty fun game. It's a little slow for my pace. I prefer them much faster. Like I love Fortnite and Apex. Those are like not my tempo.
Yeah. There's a review here saying like, I really like this claymation inspired 15 FPS game. Okay. Sounds like there's a lot of technical issues apparently. Okay.
Yeah, but
I was gonna say like, doesn't it run okay? Like from like how did you used to have read it on Battle.net?
Battle.net, yeah. The game's still fucking huge. I think. I mean, it was 100 gigabytes when it was on. When it was on Battle.net, I think this has improved graphics as well. So I'm sure it's even bigger. Because I know they re-released this on consoles, and I think it was John Linneman from Digital Foundry who's tweeting like the original Xbox version of Warzone looks awful with this new 2.0 update because they've had to cull it back so much to get it running on the system.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah. Next up, November 17th, Tony. What the Bat came out. The potentially another great VR game for this year, which I've not played yet as it's just come out.
I'm looking forward to this one, actually.
I'm a huge fan of What the Golf. I think it is such a great comedic, relaxing comedy game about. It's described as a golf game made by people who hate golf, which I think is hilarious. But in this one, the concept is you're in VR and you have bat for hands, and you're basically it's taking the piss out of baseball, and you have to fix like crazy problems only with baseball bats, which I think is pretty funny idea.
I really like the trailer they've got on the store page.
I'm just hoping it's not going to remind me of playing like the later Tentacular levels, where I'm like, oh, this is a funny idea that's gone too far because they've made it way too precise, and it's now just completely frustrating.
It's technically kind of like Octodad, where like it started like, oh, here's some funny levels, and now it's like a real game level. And it's like, no, it was better when it was just funny levels.
Well, the one that annoyed me the most was probably Omnibus, where I was like,
oh yeah,
I was like, this was really fun at the beginning, but I was like,
they made it real levels.
But then I'm like, it became like a fucking Dark Souls boss towards the end, and I'm like,
precision Dark Souls.
I think with these games where the game is purposely giving you hard to control things, if they want to allow the players to stay a casual player while also appealing to the people who want that challenge, they should have options to like skip levels or make them easier,
or have challenges in the map to make the map harder if you want to.
Yeah,
or the level.
But this looks really fun. I might check this one out this year, or I might wait for it to go on sale next year and then check it out then. So, and also, Tony, another fucking huge release, Miles Morales Spider-Man.
Yeah, I saw this one.
November 18th came out, and it seems like it's more of the same. It seems like it's an excellent PC port from...
this is the one that has like ray tracing, but the other one doesn't,
Nix it again. No, I think they both have ray tracing, but this has more ray tracing.
Okay, I thought the other one didn't. Okay.
No. Apparently this one runs slightly better than the original one as well, but that's more to do with its setting being the fact that it's winter, so there's less tree leaves on the screen and stuff like that. I know because it's a huge open world game, generally huge open world games are more CPU bound than GPU bound, and it seems like Spider-Man is a lot better if you have a lot stronger CPU, so I'll be interested to try this one out on my new CPU when I get that going.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, this looks really fun. I really want to play this and the original Spider-Man. We're both huge Insomniac fans.
Mm-hmm.
Both pretty decent Spider-Man fans. So
were you huge Spider-Man 2 Tobey Maguire fans? So
pizza time.
It's pizza time. And the swinging, like I remember before this, not Miles Morales, but the one before the Insomniac's first Marvel Spider-Man. Yeah. And everyone was like, "Oh, are they going to make the web swinging good, or are they going to like do what other?"
The thing about this game is it really makes you feel like Spider-Man. I think that's the big thing.
The way, it looks fantastic.
So. Okay, so that's the end of announcements. Let's move on to delays. We just got one. Would you guess, Tony? Dead Island 2 has been delayed.
What?
Yep. So the delay is just 12 short weeks, and development is on the final straight now. The new release date for Dead Island 2 will be April 28th, 2023. Can you believe this game that had a trailer out in 2012? Something has been delayed again?
That was never worked on. It was picked up later. But yeah, I don't know. This seems like a more reasonable delay. Like they're still communicating, so I don't know.
The Dead Island 2 received its first trailer in 2014. Jesus Christ.
2014. It's 8 years ago.
It was supposed to come out in February 3rd or something, and now it's coming in April 28th. So it's been delayed by a month.
Yeah.
And a bit, right? Then we have quick news. So we have the Sony... Honda wants to compete with Tesla by putting PS5s into its EVs. So I think Tesla has the market on gaming systems when it comes to they have The Witcher and Cuphead you can play on the Tesla systems. I think they have AMD chips in them, right?
Yeah.
There's going to be there was the console wars, Tony. Now there's going to be the gaming cars war.
Well,
who has the best exclusives on the car?
What's crazy is that Nvidia wanted to get into making chips for cars as well. I think there's more AI based, but like, I mean, they do graphics as well, so maybe there's some Nvidia cars coming.
Well, it's funny, like how much of stuff we buy now is essentially like powerful computer chips. Like,
Yeah,
they were talking about how some EV makers were literally buying washing machines and ripping them apart for the components so they could build the cars that they needed to build.
Apparently it's not just EVs. Like apparently, like both EVs and like modern combustion engine cars, like they're all computer based. Like to like do all the fuel injection to engines and like start
I thought
do
it
the
was just a
brakes.
nice little fluff piece that there would be a console wars between Tesla
Yeah.
and Honda.
I will say, I hope it actually like forces them to like really push like the infotainment and like the UI like internally, because they're always like 5 years behind. They're still like, I would say they're no longer 5 years behind. They're like 2 to 3 years behind. But it's better than it was. I just hope it gets even better with these sort of like competition.
So next up, we have some City Skylines news, which I know you wanted to talk about, but I need to go to the. I need to go take a piss quickly, so I will let you talk about this, and I'll wear my wireless headphones and I'll listen. I'll be right back.
Okay, right. So I'm gonna click the link because that's a good idea. So yeah, basically, there've been announcements of other DLC and other stuff like around this at the same time. I have not probably looked into that. I only know this because I looked last night, going, "Oh, there's tons of other DLCs on the store page." I didn't like after promenades and plazas. So no, this is like a part of an update to like. This is like the first time they're going back in and adding stuff to other DLCs that like requires other DLCs, if that makes sense. But I'll talk about the vanilla stuff first. They're adding, let's say, 8 new buses. I mean, that's huge. 8 new buses. So basically, on different lines you create, you can like set what vehicle you want on a line, and like there's some of them that could hold more, but sometimes you don't want a bus that holds too many people. You want like a shorter bus, because it just takes too much traffic, like trying to transport 5 people. But yeah, this is really cool. The models are really cool. Apparently, a lot of these models came from their previous games, Cities in Motions too. So I'm glad they're reusing those. But yeah, the other stuff is like this, which is really important. Is like if you have, like, there's certain like, I think it's After Dark adds trams to the game properly, and then another one, I can't remember what it is, but as like trolley buses or something. And like they're finally adding roads that allow 2 modes of transport on the road other than the car. I guess 3 modes of transport. So they're adding like more custom roads that allow you to have like services combined into one instead of like being really awkward. One of the ones I'm actually excited for, which I didn't realize was in here because I didn't read this properly. You can get trams and buses on the same road now. For some reason, it's a 3-lane car road. It's just if you're going full public transport, I don't know why you need 3 lanes.
Unlimited
buses. Take it. Yeah. The one that I've been using is like trams and bicycle ones. That's because I was playing this the other day.
Yeah, so you were streaming. You were streaming to me yesterday, and I was watching Trainville. I also like the mod that you had that replaced fucking tractors with horse and carts.
Yeah,
for your farm, which I thought was pretty funny.
It wasn't intentional. But well, I don't know. It wasn't. No, it wasn't. What I tried to do, because you can specialize industries to be farming. And I was looking at the vanilla farms like in the industrial area, and I was like, oh, these look shit. They're just like all yellow and they look awful. So like I downloaded a pack, like a collection on Steam that had lots of like assets. I think that alone was like 64 assets. Like that's how you get like 1,000 mods on City Skylines. But you just had tons and tons of assets.
Conversations we've had about this before, you said, I hate how talking about real life, you hate how car-focused cities and towns are planned, right? And you were saying...
The reason why I put back in City Skylines is the thing that the word that you want to search for is walkable cities, and like which is like against the idea of car-based.
But the idea of City Skylines when it came out, it was very road car-focused.
It still is. A lot of stuff is still car-based.
But with this expansion, they're adding more cyclist roads to help alleviate that sort of stuff, which I thought was interesting to your ideas recently when it came to designing different cities.
I would like I was just saying before, like there is a road that adds like trams and buses on the same road. I would like it if it was less car-y. I don't need that many cars and tram and bus on it. That
Hmm.
just seems excessive to me. Like, make a smaller road. If I'm
So
going public
did you get
transport.
this DLC and play it now then?
Well, this was an update for the DLC you had.
Oh right,
So
okay.
the only stuff I didn't have access to is the stuff that's like for what's it, Promenade and Plazas DLC.
Do you have that one now? Or have you not
No, I
got
don't
it?
have that one. I still have not gone down. I was gonna wait and see if it went on sale. I was gonna hold
Oh,
off.
I don't know if you know right now, but there's an autumn sale right now. City Skylines is on sale. I don't know if any of the DLC.
Are the DLCs on sale? That's the real question. But no, yeah, I've actually seen a lot of these things. Scorn Retorts was having issues trying to get the double decker bus to be in the city. Like, they're just invisible to him. So I think there's some issues maybe. Oh, and also I'd be amiss to say that like this kind of ruined mods and update like
Oh,
for
they
some
always
reason
ruin mods, don't they?
the Plazas update didn't ruin mods, but for some reason this one did. But I just ignored the errors and all my mods worked.
Tony, Plazas and Promenades is not on sale on the autumn sale. It's too soon after
Yeah,
release.
this is my problem.
Yeah.
The rest of it's on a good. Well, some of the DLC is on a good sale. But look how many. Okay, if you know, like on the drop down, like you got plazas and promenades. Like, look at all the stuff above that. Like, it's like way more
Content
stuff.
creator
Like
pack
announced
and stuff
financial
like that.
districts. So I never. Like, do I want the K-pop station for £2.89?
Yeah, the thing is, you need the different radio. You can just mod in different radio stations. I don't think.
Yeah, I have done that. I still like buying these things. The real cool one is like the content creator pack Heart of Korea. That's really cool.
Hmm.
Like that's really cool.
Yeah, is there anything else you wanted to say about this, like update to the DLC or anything?
I think it was well deserved, and like I was saying, like this is like the first time where like Stellaris has done this for like a while now, where like if you have like 2 DLCs, you'll get like an extra feature that if you have both of them. I know some people don't like that, but I do think it kind of makes sense if you've got like these very distinct features that are only in the DLC. So
my question to you would be, how much of the if you were someone who's just getting the City Skylines and you only had the base game, would you recommend either people to just play the base game? Would you say play the base game but then get these DLCs, or would you say, hey, play the base game, get these mods and these DLCs? What's the recommendation?
In terms of modding, a lot of mods require certain DLCs because it's just a lot harder to add these systems to the base game without the devs doing it for you.
So if somebody wanted to get into City Skylines right now, what are the core DLCs?
Well, it depends. If you don't know if you're gonna like it, or like you haven't, like you just like want to just try it, like yeah, but the base game is fine. Like the base game is good enough to try. Like if you like the ideas of how the base game works, like it's not like you need the other mods to get an understanding of like how the game plays. Like that's how it's gonna.
You can get forever. There's something called the new player bundle and the classics bundle. Are these any good?
I've never looked at these. What's in it?
New player has Sunset Harbor, Industries, Mass Transit, and the base game.
Yeah, that's quite good. Yeah,
Tony, you can get the game and all the DLC for £102 on sale.
Right.
On sale.
Cheap as chips. Yeah. To be fair, there are a lot of platinum version games coming from Ubisoft that cost more than that. So this is actually worth that. Obviously, that's on sale price. That's their full price, but still, I would say that's okay. And also, you should buy DLC slowly, in my opinion, and on sale, and not like instantly trying to play everything. No, that's actually I would say is play the base game if it's like buy it on sale or something and go, is it for you or not? If you're liking it and go like look at the DLC and like see what it adds, because like once you played the base game, you can kind of understand what the DLC is adding. But I think I would play a lot more of the base game than you think you need to before the like you just play it a lot to see if like you can get like your head around some of the later game stuff and see if you're still enjoying it.
Right.
Otherwise you might be wasting your money.
Next up we have Sackboy: A Big Adventure. It came out with a patch on November 9th. When this came out, it had a huge stutter issue on PC. It seems like they've made some fix. I don't know if you saw the Digital Foundry video, but essentially the game would start with like long, like 8-minute long stutters, and then the game
like shader compilation issues.
Yeah, like it was full of these like shader issues, sort of thing.
It's like every object like was doing
Yeah. But apparently they've done a bunch of fixes to stutters related to shader compilation, and they've added a God of War Ragnarok costume. The thing I find really cool about this is it's like
Cool.
it's more like a classic mascot platform, but you can dress up your Sackboy with these PlayStation avatar costumes, and I was like, well, I want to get this game and then just dress up as Ratchet and Clank and then just run around. I'm like, I'm playing Ratchet and Clank on PC.
So that was a massive thing in the original, No Big Adventure stuff. I didn't really show it in the trailers very much. I was like, oh, I hope they've got a lot of like stuff you can wear because that was really cool.
Well, I was watching my friend Jesse playing the original Star Wars: The Force Unleashed, and I didn't realize how many costumes are in that game. You can.
Oh yeah, no, I really
you can play as like you can play as Darth Maul. You can play as like Obi-Wan. You can play as like Anakin. Yeah. You can play as that guy in the Jedi Council with the really fucking long head. I can't remember what he's called. Can you? Yes, you can play as the most ridiculous characters in that game.
I can't remember what he's called now. Oh, that's amazing.
I was like, that's hilarious. I would just play the entire game as that guy. Adi Mundi is his name.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I think we've been missing because everyone's been trying to make it like you pay like microtransaction stuff. I feel like these sort of things really add a lot, so I'm glad we're getting some games back with some of those things.
And then our final piece of quick news is the next gen update for The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt is coming on December 14th for everybody who owns the game. So I've been holding off and playing The Witcher 3 because I kept saying, hey, the next gen update is coming out, which has ray tracing and modded higher resolution textures, and they'll probably do a bunch of bug fixes. Let's wait to play this. And I said this to my friends, like, I love The Witcher 3, you got to play it. And I was like, don't want to play this yet. I want to wait until it comes with the next gen update, and then I will play it. But then he was like, I did the wheel of games, and he added The Witcher 3, and I spun it, and it landed on it. I was like, you motherfucker, this game's coming out with a next gen update in
Well, you
December.
didn't have to listen to the wheel. You could have.
I live my life on the dice now, Tony.
Right, okay.
But I've essentially, at this point, I have played the entirety of The Witcher 3. My thoughts on the game are, just briefly, very quickly, amazing story, amazing world, amazing characters. I hate the combat, and the movement in this game is like controlling a drunk RC car. I hate it. And movement is really important to me in games.
Yeah.
But based on the image, it seems like, because people compared this is like the start of the game past the tutorial. It seems like we're getting ray trace shadows based on the image we got here. But it doesn't seem like we're getting... there's going to be an announcement, I think it's today, of like the full list of stuff coming to The Witcher 3 next gen update. I don't know if that's out yet. I think it may be later tonight. See if I can find it.
So this was on the 14th.
Because I know so.
It should have been.
But yeah, so here we go. So it's got support for ray tracing, DLSS. Even I think it has support for DLSS 3.0.
Oh really? Oh,
it's got support for FSR. A selection of new Ultra Plus graphics options, boosting background characters, levels of detail, and more. So there's visual touches across the board, including a rework for grass, foliage, enhanced and more varied weather conditions, higher resolution textures and meshes throughout the environments. Novigrad's cobblestones are no longer normal maps, for instance, and now fully 3D. Canvas like the looks of smoke drifting from chimneys in the distance. And so it seems like they're doing like more than just bringing the console versions up to the parity of the more than bringing it up to the parity of the PC version.
Yeah.
Console players will get to choose between a performance 30 FPS mode and a quality 60 FPS mode. There's new quality of life improvements. There's a photo mode.
Every game has to have a photo mode these days.
There's a new in-game camera bringing the viewpoint much closer to the action on foot, on horseback, or both. Hopefully that fixes some of the movement stuff. There's There's also new map
Maybe.
filters enabling explorers to hide the likes of question mark icons, and the minimap can be hidden specifically during exploration too. I would like to turn all the question marks off because I don't care about them. Okay, let's have a look. There are improvements to controls. By holding down a button in combat, it's possible to instantly trigger a sign of your choice without having to bring up the radical menu. A range of accessibility improvements. So I haven't played the Blood and Wine expansion for The Witcher 3. I held off on playing it because I was like, you know what? I really want to try the next gen update, and I've just played the base game now, so I'm going to wait for Blood and Wine, which I've heard is really good, and I'm going to try it on the next gen update. So when I get back to playing this, it will be on the next gen update. But this looks really, really cool. I have to wait until Digital Foundry goes into this to see the full list of all the technical changes they made, because obviously I'm just seeing this news now as we're recording the podcast. Obviously, this news wouldn't have been out when we would have recorded the podcast. It's interesting to see. Anything? Oh, one thing I wanted to mention. I said I hate the combat in The Witcher 3. I only just found out now, apparently there's a mod that replaces all combat in The Witcher 3 with Gwent battles. It's called Heart of the Cards.
Wait, what?
Yeah, there's a video.
Wouldn't that make the game much longer?
Well, I mean, it depends how good you're at combat. There's a video here that shows it off. I'll show it to you. You literally... So you get into combat with someone, so if someone starts like aggressively attacking you, and then I think it's the second you like try to swing a sword at someone, that's when it switches to a Gwent battle. This is so fucking hilarious to me because the entirety of my Gwent playthrough was just main story and every single Gwent mission. That was it. I absolutely adore Gwent, so it's hilarious to me there's a mod that just turns everything into Gwent, which is the...
Does it do the jewel song every time?
I don't know, I hope so. But I think that is hilarious. I'd highly recommend this mod based on the fact I've never played it, but love Gwent and hate the combat. Let's move on to Steam news. This quick one. Valve discount cooldowns will be 30 days instead of 28. They start on January 1st. They've said this is to do with regulatory requirements. This could be due to the fact there's an EU law change on promotions now where you can't alter the price of a game shorter than a 30-day window.
Yeah.
Which is like a new regulation from them. So this is probably... Because they said it's to do with regulations that they changed this. So it seems like they want to stay within that like EU law. I think there's similar Australian laws and stuff like that.
I assume it's so you can't pretend it's always cheaper and say it's on sale and stuff. So
yeah, let's move on to Blunders. Postal 3 has been removed from sale from Steam. So it seems like Postal 3. So this one's not actually made with Running with Scissors, who is the developer of Postal 1, 2, and 4, the new ones, as well as I don't think they did Postal Brain Damage. Let me check who did that one. Quickly. That's Hyperstrange did the... they developed that one, but that's published by Running with Scissors. But Postal 3 is, I think, widely considered to be one of the worst games of all time, if not the worst Postal game.
Right.
And it was completely made by another developers, and Running with Scissors didn't have control over it, sort of thing. So it's actually been I think it's DRM issues, and the fact that the game itself is in such a bad state that it seems like it's just been removed from sale. Like the Running with Scissors, the developers of the other games, like I think all the Postal games were on sale apart from Postal 3, and somebody said in the Twitter comments replying to Running with Scissors, "Oh, I wanted to try this to see how bad it was," and he just replied, "Pirate Bay." So you can see like how much regard the developers of the other Postal games have for this one. Interesting to see it was actually just
that's great.
The only Postal game I was actually interested in was the Boomer Shooter one. I think from when I played the demo with Brain Damaged, it was really fun, but I have no interest in playing the other Postal games. They seem like really fucking weird life sim, like weird, like outdated humor machines that I'm not really that interested in.
the humor doesn't like. I don't know. I feel like yeah. I think they deserve to exist. They are very weird in a way that kind of makes. I don't know. I did think I might try a Postal game maybe one day, but
I
yeah,
will, I
the
will,
humor doesn't
but
hit
I
me
would play
correctly.
Postal Brain Damaged at one point, but I'm not
Yeah,
interested in the other ones at all.
yeah,
So we
that's
have
fair.
Storybook Brawl has cancelled its world championship as owners FTX files for bankruptcy. I don't know if you saw this, but the FTX cryptocurrency exchange has completely fucking failed. It is
Well,
completely dead.
I watched
Um,
like a video. I think I watched a couple of videos on like why and how it failed.
yeah,
Apparently, they were like how real banks with
yeah,
real money they like
yeah,
invest into other stuff in the world to make their money back to like have it so they can have like can sell off their investments and like give you back your money if they need to.
yeah.
Apparently, they backed their cryptocurrency with their own NFTs,
Yeah, it's
which
kind of
have no
insane.
value.
The thing is that immediately when I saw this, I was like, I know kind of a Storybook Brawl. It's like a auto battler like Battlegrounds or whatever, right? Um,
Hmm.
but it's like I know that big esports organization TSM, which is like one of the biggest league teams in the world, is
Yeah,
called. They rebranded this year to FTX TSM and got like a huge investment from them. So I have no
yeah.
idea what's going on with like these people who've taken these massive crypto investments and they're now just
Oh, they got
losing a
nothing. I
bunch
thought
of
there
money.
was didn't I thought someone got money. I can't remember what it was, but didn't like a stadium or something like have money to like fund the stadium and get renamed to FTX or something.
It seems like TSM has dropped FTX. They're no longer
Yeah.
affiliated with them. Oh no,
No,
guys.
well, you can't be. They're not paying them anymore, so
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
contract's done.
They've rebranded from TSM FTX to just TSM now, guys. So
Hmm.
that one didn't age too well. You know, they I don't think they were allowed to be called TSM FTX inside the LCS because the LCS has like strict rules. The LCS is the League Esports
Branding.
League.
Yeah.
Um, they have like strict rules about you can't be sponsored by like gambling websites or like crypto
Hmm.
websites and stuff like that. So I don't think they were allowed to be called TSM FTX. But like
Yeah.
outside of that, all of their like Twitter and branding was TSM FTX. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yikes on that one. Uh,
Kind of. Well, I don't
Next
know.
up we
I say it kind
have
of sucks, but
not
it is
really.
what it is. No, not
Activision
really.
Blizzard is shutting down in China. So we talked about a rumor about this. It seems like there's a disagreement with NetEase has led to games going offline in China. So I think every single Blizzard game, like Overwatch, Diablo, World of Warcraft, has gone completely. All the servers have gone. I think
Yeah.
from January the servers completely suspended. Um, and it seems like the only game you can play in China right now is Diablo Immortal because it's completely.
Oh, thank God.
I think that's completely developed by NetEase in China. So that's still
And
going
hosted by
through to
them.
my knowledge,
Right.
but I'm not 100% sure. So if you don't know, in China, you cannot publish a game in China without essentially getting a Chinese publisher to develop it, to
Yeah.
publish it for you.
Authorized by the CCP.
Yeah. So it seems like they had a disagreement with NetEase, and it seems like for now, all Blizzard games are not allowed in China, which is kind of
Does this mean there is some
hilarious how
for
they bent over
Chinese government
backwards for
anymore?
China. Yeah, I don't know. Like they
That'd be great
literally
if they get some balls.
bent over backwards for China, and they like
Yeah.
completely designed Diablo Immortal for the Chinese market. So it's like crazy
Yeah.
to see.
And hid people trying to boycott Hong Kong and
Well,
stuff. It's just yeah.
speaking of more blunders, we talked about recently the creator of Balan's Wonderland was suing Squeenix for how they misrepresented it being his game after he got kicked off the project and they completely ruined that game. The creator of Balan's Wonderland, Nuji Naka, has been arrested for insider trading. I don't know if you've heard about this, but apparently when he was
No.
working at Square Enix was co-developing a new Dragon Quest mobile game with a company called Aiming. So, Yuji Naka went out and bought 10,000 shares of Aiming stock right before this Dragon Quest TAC game was announced that Square Enix was co-developing, and he made a bunch of money from it. This is big insider trading, what he just did there. Apparently, 2 other Square Enix employees were also arrested like earlier as well for this insider trading, which I think is kind of crazy.
I do find stock systems weird and things. Like I just find it weird. It's like sure it's like really easy to do. I guess you get caught though, but I don't know. Like I just feel like It's just a weird system. So you're not allowed to buy stock.
No, inside.
What's the actual rules here? Like, when would he be allowed to buy them if it was like it would happen again?
I don't think he would be able. I think it's generally
Maybe
best practice to not buy stock in a company you personally work for.
Information about.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know all the laws about insider trading. I'm not like a big legal guy, but
no, it's just like insider trading is like one of those things that like comes up on like the news like quite a lot when it's like
Well, I think the problem is a lot of big, even government officials do insider trading, but they don't get slapped on the wrist for it. Whereas some people do insider trading and just go to fucking prison. So
it just seems like one of those things you can't really properly police unless they just try and get as the middle people and like no one else.
Let's move on to tech news. The NVIDIA RTX 4080 12GB seems to be rebranded to the RTX 4070 Ti. So it seems like, as we all know, they already had a 4070 that was going to come out. They've had to rebrand this to the 4070 Ti.
They couldn't rebrand two cards. Come on.
Yeah. So it seems like if the 4070 Ti comes out with a reduced price, I think it's like it could be a good card. If it comes out at the 4080 12GB price, it will not sell well. So I don't know if you know this, Tony. The 4090 is a really good card for its price, even though it's like a massive price.
Compared to the
price to performance of the 4090 makes a lot of sense. I don't know if you know this, but the 4080 came out recently, and no one is buying them. In the UK right now, I can go out and buy a 4080 wherever.
Well, can I just say what my interpretation of what's going on here? They've released the 40 series, only two 40 series cards right now.
Yeah.
And the way it scales with both pricing into performance,
it makes no sense to buy a 4080.
The 30 series is still competitive along that stack. Like the 4080 is like the upgrade version to the 3080 along like the linear line of like price to performance, and the 4090, which you don't normally expect to be competitive, is still competitive on that.
The problem is that with the massive overstock of 3090s because of the lessening of demand, crypto crashing, and then considering like the market's now flooded with third-party cards, NVIDIA's had to like massively drop the price of 30 series cards, and retailers have had to. And the fact of the matter is, you can get a 3090 for so much cheaper than a 4080, and you're really not losing too much performance.
It's very similar, yeah. So you can buy less, you can buy a 3090 like Ti for similar, like I've seen
but then you're saying
less than 4080.
I want access to DLSS 3, and I want access to better ray tracing, better rasterization. For the amount of money you're paying, you could, I think it's like £200 to £400 more. If you're already spending like fucking £1,400 to £1,600 on a graphics card, you might as well spend £1,800 on a graphics card and just get the better value card that's a lot more powerful. It doesn't make sense to buy the 4080 right now.
Yeah.
Even considering
3090 or 4090 at this point.
Even considering how fucking expensive the 4090 and the 4080 are, the 4090 is a better value proposition than the 4080 right now.
It was Digital Foundry that was saying this, like you expect better price performance the lower down the stack, not higher up the stack. And it's like, that is actually true. In all of life I expect that. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sucks.
Next up we have...
I hope okay, just quickly, I just want to say I hope AMD kicks their ass because this is stupid.
I'm excited for the XTX cards to come out, see what that's like.
They're still more expensive, but I'm hopeful.
Okay, next up we have the Intel XESS plugin, Sex Backwards, is released for Unreal Engine. So this is coming out for Unreal Engine 4, 4.26 and 5.0. I think 4.26 is the second to last iteration of the Unreal 4 engine, so this is the version that most games that are coming out now are going to be developed on.
Oh, okay.
So it means that a lot of games coming out can now have Sex Backwards compatibility. And then 5.0 future-proofs it for the new 5.0 engine. There is 5.1 coming out. I think it's come out recently, which has like a lot more shader compilation stuff to try and help with the stutter struggle with Unreal Engine 4 titles. It's like, if a game comes out in Unreal Engine 4 now, you'll just assume it's going to stutter the fuck out, which is kind of a shame to see, but it's good that they're trying to address that with Unreal Engine 5. Then we also have some more Intel news. New Intel drivers apparently have an 8% performance uplift on Arc GPUs, which is really cool to see.
Nice.
That one of the big issues with Arc was their drivers right now are really struggling in non-DirectX 12 titles.
They're new drivers. It takes a lot of time to get these up and running.
They're saying it's not a superhero driver, but it's a step in the right direction.
That's good.
GameSpot, Intel has added 4 new titles for the drivers to Sonic Frontiers, Marvel Spider-Man, Call of Duty Warzone 2.0 and Hysteria. Regarding game improvements, Intel's optimized 8 titles. So, boost for Chorus, Dirt 5, Far Cry 6, Forza Horizon 5, Ghostwire Tokyo, and Gotham Knights. Have you seen that Gotham Knights came out a month ago and already on a 40% sale on Steam right now?
What is it?
Yes. I'm like, this game's not doing too well. But I think the big thing with, like, I don't know if you've seen Linus's video recently, but he's doing a Arc GPU challenge where he's only using an Arc GPU for a month, which I think is hilarious.
There's already issues.
I want to say to my friends, hey, because a lot of my friends, I'm like, you're super GPU bottlenecked right now. You should get a budget GPU. And what I say to them is, well, the best budget GPU you can get right now, if you're on like a 1660 NVIDIA GPU, right now, the best budget card you can get is either like a 3060 or like an NVIDIA card. Like one of the 600 series. Or one of the newer ones.
AMD is kind of killing it right now with some of the pure rasterization.
I want to be able to say to them, hey, if you're looking for a budget card, you can get an Intel card, but seeing how badly it performs outside of like DirectX 12 optimized titles, it just cannot recommend it.
Like I said, I was kind of quoting other people, but like I said, like last time we spoke about this on the podcast, is kind of Intel was what AMD was when they launched their new Radeon cards. Like they weren't good to begin with. Direct Storage
1.1 is now available.
Oh my god!
Drivers are available now. So GPU.
How many years have I waited for this?
GPU decompression is supported on all DirectX 12 plus shader Model 6 GPUs. So that's AMD, Intel, and NVIDIA. And we've even got posts from NVIDIA saying they are now accelerating load times for DirectX games and apps with GFlate for direct storage.
Intel a driver update
is also using Direct Storage 1.1, and we also have AMD is adding support for Direct Storage 1.1 as well. So that's really cool to see. Hopefully this comes out and we can actually see some real in-game versions of this that we can use.
Yeah.
Interesting to see what's the first game that comes out with this technology. Let's move on to business news.
It says here like the current game-ready drivers for NVIDIA contain the RTX IO technology, so I guess it's there for developers.
I think we have the GPU decompression now.
Yeah,
we were waiting for Microsoft to add the feature to Windows and SSDs.
That's first step.
We now have the GPU decompression. We now need games to add them together and turn them into an actual product.
Which would be probably difficult, but hopefully, I can add it on to stuff they've already got. But we'll see.
Business news. Remedy Entertainment has signed an agreement with 505 Games to co-develop and co-publish Control 2, a sequel to Control. So that's cool to see. It's interesting to see that 505 Games themselves is co-developing Control with Remedy.
They didn't seem they wanted to do it, they didn't want to financially do it themselves. That sounds a bit like they weren't ready to do it before. So this is actually kind of good because I'm kind of curious to see what they do with it.
Yeah. Next up, we have Risk of Rain is joining the Gearbox family. So Gearbox has purchased Risk of Rain IP from Oppo Games, which is the developers of Risk of Rain. So it seems like they've literally just bought the IP to Risk of Rain 2, because we have a post from Oppo's community manager saying that Oppo Games won't be working on any new content for Risk of Rain 2 titles moving forward. Not to say Gearbox itself won't be adding more content for Risk of Rain 2, but right now they've bought essentially the rights to the game. So the game will exist as it is, and if Gearbox wants to do more stuff with it, then they will.
Do you think it's one of those things where it's like originally like Gearbox was like, oh, we want to like buy a development studio, and then like I don't want to work on Risk of Rain 2 anymore. And like, oh,
Well,
okay, we'll
it
buy the
becomes
IP
more
then.
interesting when Gearbox is owned by the Embracer Group, who owns a lot of
Yeah.
studios. Because another piece of news that came out recently was Embracer Group has moved the Saints Row developer Volition is now part of Gearbox. They've been merged with Gearbox.
Oh,
So it seems like they're
okay.
consolidating Gearbox into like a bigger development studio. So maybe they will take like some people from Volition, some people from
Yeah.
Borderlands or whatever, and then they'll be
Mixing
the
teams
dedicated
up.
Risk of Rain 2 team now, or they're like there's a lot of value proposition in Risk of Rain 2. Like I love Risk of Rain 2. I think it's a fantastic game, and if they're like, hey, we can
the
make
last Volition game wasn't that great, I think it's probably a good idea.
So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. And we have one final piece of news before we end, which is a quick update to the Disco Elysium controversy. So the court has frozen Ilmar Compass's controlled shares of ZAUM in favor of Karu Kenda for a fraud in the magnitude of 4.8 million is suspected. So we saw that the old people who created Disco Elysium were kicked out of
the founding board members.
ZAUM company after they were claiming there was a weird investment based on fraudulent activities, and it seems like the court is investigating this, and they've frozen assets from this investor.
The fact that they've frozen it and going through is like not obviously not siding with either way, but that they clearly have some evidence to do that. So that's pretty big. That's huge. Okay. I'm really curious to know what's actually going on there, and I hope.
Yeah, we're gonna have to wait about like more news about this, but it seems like there's some.
It'll take a while.
It's safe to say there's some weird fucking shit going on inside ZAUM, and it seems
it might take years before we get anything proper out of this. So.
And then let's end with a Peter Molydeux
tweet. NDAs and things are definitely being signed, so don't expect too much.
Peter Molydeux tweet: game designers have it easy these days. Back in the day, there was no YouTube or Patreon, etc. We had to figure it all out with Lego, a calculator, and a bag of frozen peas. What a beautiful statement.
Not a can of beans?
Well, you can check us out, the Inbetween Podcast, on YouTube. YouTube has added a feature where you can choose a handle for your YouTube channel. Yeah. So if you type in youtube.com/@everythinginbetweenpodcast, that will take you directly to our channel. No more having to wade through a bunch of random videos to find it. We have a direct, recognizable handle now that you can use to get there, which is a lot easier for me and people who want to see the podcast. Twitch.tv/Scorn if you want to watch live, like we are streaming right now, and Scorn2000 on Twitter if you want to follow me on there for some reason, and shows.cast.com/everythinginbetweenpodcast if you want to listen to the audio-only version. On that page, there is direct links to the Spotify version and the Apple Podcast versions if you have an iPhone like me and like to listen to the audio-only version.
On your bike.
Yeah. That is the end of the podcast, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.